So if you've never tried biltong, my greatest sympathies. If you're here to learn how to make it, you're in for a treat, a big treat. So biltong basically is a cured meat. It often gets compared to beef jerky, but it's not beef jerky. But beef jerky is a completely different kettle of fish, or beef for that matter. Biltong comes from South Africa. It's where I'm from. It's basically our national snack. And today, I'm sharing with you my recipe. Not so secret anymore. For free. To start, we need to decide which cut of meat to use. My favorite is top rump, with a fat layer of fat, the old double fatten. Other popular cuts include silver side and top side. If you know your cuts, you'll realize that all these three cuts come from the round, or the arse of the cow. More technically, a heifer or a steer. If you're loaded and you're feeling fancy, make it with rump or strip loin. Whatever you choose, pick a piece of meat with a nice fat layer. First, we need to cut the meat. We will cut the meat into 3 cm or 1.18 inch thick steaks. The important thing here is to cut with the grain of the meat. That's because when it's done, we slice across the grain to eat it. Remove any strange looking pieces of connective tissue, but leave the fat on. Pretty please? Hope that makes sense. Any questions? You know where to put it down in the description. While you're down there, don't forget to subscribe. Once the meat is cut, we want to salt it. The best salt to use is coarse natural sea salt. No need to use expensive flaky salt, although if you live a luscious life, then flaky salt all you want. Sprinkle the salt onto a tray and then dip the meat in the salt, making sure you evenly cover it, getting it into every nook and cranny, sides and fat included. Let the meat chill out in the salt for 3 hours, flipping the meat halfway through to make sure it gets salted evenly. While that is happening, we have time to throw together the wet cure as well as make the spice mix. For the spice mix, you will need coriander seeds, chili flakes, fennel seeds and black peppercorns. Place a pan on medium heat and add all the spices apart from the pepper. Gently toast the spices in the pan, adding nothing like oil or whatever. This is a dry roast, unlike a spit roast. No oil required. Once the spices give off a nice toasty aroma and they start to smoke a bit, remove them from the heat and let them cool down. Add them to a spice grinder along with freshly ground black pepper. We only add the pepper now as we don't want to toast it. Make sure to not grind the spices too fine. You still want to be able to identify the different spices in the mix. To make the wet cure or marinade, we need red wine vinegar, Worcestershire sauce and honey. You like the way I say Worcestershire sauce? Mix the wet ingredients together until well combined and place to the side. Once the meat has sat in the salt for 3 hours, you remove the salt from it. Do not wash it under water. Simply rub it off with your hands or a paper towel. Place the meat into a container where it fits snugly. Add the marinade to the meat and give it a good massage to make sure the meat is fully coated in the liquid. Let it chill out for 1 hour. Turn and mix once more to make sure the meat stays covered in the liquid. Leave it for another hour in the brine and then add a small amount of baking soda. Mix well and let it sit for another 30 minutes, turning once halfway through. The mixture will become foamy as the alkaline soda reacts with the acidic vinegar. This serves two purposes, neutralizing the acid and preventing mold from growing on the meat. Biltong junkies might have plenty to say about this, so let's have it down in the comments. Remove the meat from the brine and pat it dry on a paper towel. Cover the meat with your spice mix, making sure it's fully covered and getting into every single nook and cranny. A lot of this will fall off during the curing and handling process. Once the meat is spiced, you want to place a paper clip through the top of the meat and add a label to the paper clip. Calculate the weight of each piece of meat and write down on the label how much it weighs. This is important as we need to track the moisture loss during curing. You want to hang the meat in a place with dry, good airflow. There are plenty of solutions to this, so I leave a few links down in the description. I hang mine in a fridge that's converted into a fermentation chamber. It's cheap and easy to make. The temperature, humidity and airflow can all be easily controlled with a small fan, humidifier and space heater. Message me if you want to know how to do this. For most of you, the easiest solution would be to hang it in the fridge. The cooler the environment though, the longer it cures, and the warmer, the quicker it cures. If you cure it in the fridge, it might take up to 2 weeks. But I find 22 to 28 degrees Celsius the perfect temperature, and you'll have biltong in about 6 to 7 days depending on the size of the meat. Cure it in too high a temperature and the meat dries out on the outside and is not very pleasant to eat. Monitor the moisture loss as the biltong cures. Aim for 40 to 50% weight loss. This way you will have a nice cure on it and the center of the meat will be soft and tender. When it's ready, store it in a vacuum or plastic bag, in the fridge, or it can be frozen. Don't leave it open as it will dry out and it will become nasty. Not in a good way. When you cut it, make sure to cut it as thin as possible with a sharp knife across the grain. Enjoy for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and after action satisfaction. Perfect, biltong. It's uniquely South African for the whole world to enjoy. It's not beef jerky. Don't call it that. Tot volgende keer bij Maas en Kennis.